So my name is Alicia and I am an International Transition Coordinator. And joining me, I also have one of our student staff, or otherwise known as International Student Ambassador, Rashika. So would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi guys, I'm Rashika Tharani. I'm International Student Ambassador and I am currently working with International Department, and thank you for joining us today.
If you and your landlord don't agree on an issue, you might find yourself in the situation where you need to have one of those difficult conversations with your landlords. And so our advice is to follow your ABCDs on that. So A would be for access your resources. So you have resources in your international transition coordinators. You have many different community legal services available to you, which will provide you details in the next coming slides. So you have lots of available resources at your fingertips that are free to help you through any situation that you come across with a landlord. B is be aware. Review your lease, know your rights and responsibilities. So you guys are all here and you're answering all these questions and getting them right. So I'm really confident that you're already kind of good on those areas, or at least further ahead than someone who didn't join us today. So I'm really happy to hear that. But it's always good to be aware so that when you're talking with the landlord, you kind of know the facts, right? What you can legally have their responsibility of doing, and also what your rights are. So that's really important. C is communicate openly. So if you have an issue with a landlord, if you're not able to pay their rent for whatever reason, or something comes up or something's going wrong in the unit, make sure you communicate right away and very openly to the landlord so that they can help you out and help to resolve the situation. D is document the situation. So sometimes, there might be a situation that's ongoing, right? So it's always important to document what happened, right? So write it down, put it in your phone, take pictures, just so that if it ever comes to a point where you have to talk about this in court, for example, if there's an eviction involved, then you have proof of your side of the story. So that's really helpful and needed in those cases. And the S is to stay respectful. So although when we have difficult conversations in different situations, we feel very kind of confident on our side, and we're passionate about what we need out of the situation, but it's always important to stay respectful and stay calm in a situation so that you can talk about this the situation in a very level-headed way. And I think you'll get further by doing this as opposed to if you let your emotions take control. So we wanted to also talk about rental concerns with regards to COVID-19. So especially when all of the changes happened with COVID-19 in March, and people were worried, like, am I going to be able to pay the rent? What if my landlord makes me leave? So on the screen here, you'll see my landlord is telling me I have to leave. What can I do? So the situation right now is that, tenants who live in units that are covered by the Residential Tenancies Act, so those units that we're talking about today, can't be evicted and they can't be asked to leave for not paying their rent, because the Landlord and Tenant Board is not processing evictions at this time. So, your landlord cannot ask you to leave. He has got no legal way to go about that because the Landlord and Tenant Board is at a hold with that due to COVID. The other issue is, what if I can't pay my rent? So I can't pay my rent due to financial challenges. Maybe you've lost a job, or maybe you plan to get a job and you're struggling because of COVID right now. Or maybe you were relying on some money coming from parents back home or family back home, but that's falling through because of COVID. So our suggestion on that is to make sure you communicate. It really is important. Communicate your situation to your landlord by phone, by email. Include that you do have the intention to pay, but that it's your means to be able to pay has been impacted by COVID-19. And so, they're not able to evict you even if you don't pay your rent. Maybe you can figure out some type of happy medium by paying a smaller portion just during this, challenging time with COVID. Maybe you can make a payment arrangement or something like that, but they won't know that you're struggling unless you openly communicate. So I encourage you to do that. And of course, if you need more kind of guidance on that, please email us.
Which answer is correct? if you have a challenging situation with your landlord or roommate, what is the best way to handle it? A, talk about it openly and respectfully. B, be aware of your rights and responsibility. C, ask for help and use your resources. D, all of the above. E, none of the above.
If you do all of these, if you practice all of these just regularly, talking about things openly, respectfully, be aware of your rights and responsibilities, ask for help when you need it, and use the resources available to you, you're surely likely to have the most favorable outcome. So these are all free for you. So there's the student care. This is actually through your health insurance. It's a legal protection program. So toll-free legal helpline, they cover housing law, but they also cover employment, academic law, so you can call them for that too, and the number's there for you on the screen. There's also Legal Aid Ontario, which is a community resource, again, free, and they cover a variety of areas of law, including housing, and the contact information is there for you. And we have another slide that also shows 2 more resources that you have that are absolutely free through the community. So Steps to Justice. So they have step-by-step and really easy to understand handouts and guidance on housing law, as well as Community Legal Education Ontario. Really great service. Again, sometimes the legal information can be difficult to understand. There's many big words and just, legal speak, if we can say it that way. But these 2 resources specifically really put them into easy to understand ways and very practical information.